The title of my talk is JS Unbundled Development. And just unpack everything first. I wanted to do this talk because there are some new tools that are hanging around, and they actually use a new approach for development servers. So that's what I'm going to talk about. And even though the title of the talk is Unbundled Development, first, I think we have to talk about bundle development. So let's see, what is a bundler? So a bundler, you can do a parallel with linkers for compilers. So it's just an application that join your files. So in the JS world, it would be something like a program that gets all your modules and transform them into chunks. So most importantly, bundlers just join files. It's all this is about. So you can see how that works in this image right here. Hope you guys can see that. So you have a dependency tree. You can have your node modules there. You can have any files from your file system. And the bundler is actually going to join them into those JS files, those single JS files into chunks. So if you have an SPA with multiple pages, it can generate more than one chunk with code splitting. So that's why you can have the 0.js or the 1.js. And that's how it works. You can use dynamic imports to do that kind of thing. But bundlers do these heavy lifting so they are able to have the small files that can be downloaded by the client in production just once, and it can be cached easily. So that's why they exist. So you don't have to download all your dependencies one at a time. So now let me tell a story for you guys. A long time ago, still in the 21st century, let's say maybe 2011 or 2012, there was this guy right here. His name is Tom. So Tom is a great developer. I mean, he's been around in the JS scene for a couple of years, and he actually codes with CDNs. So jQuery is a new thing, and AngularJS is also a new thing at this time. So he enjoys coding in the script tag and adding inline styles. So one day he hears about this new thing called Webpack. So Webpack was really a popular thing back in the day, and it still is. But you can see now he can use CoffeeScript, which is like a hype in this year and in 2012. So he is using CoffeeScript and ReasonML and Babel because he had to take care of his Internet Explorer users. So he can use all of those technologies and everything powered by Webpack. So he just have to plug the loaders specifically for the type of language that he has to handle, and Webpack just process everything for him. So he's really delighted with all of this power. He seems really happy about that. So how does that work? You can have all kinds of file types and transform them into plain HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So there you can see CoffeeScript and also the TypeScript loader or Sass loader. And they are written as separate plugins that can be imported by Webpack, and Webpack takes care of joining them. That's why it's a bundler. It's like I said before, the work of Webpack is joining files. There is much more about it, but that's the core of it. So if you were going to write something like that, to be able to handle CSS preprocessing and also HTML preprocessing and all that kind of stuff, you would write loaders probably. So you can see this configuration is normal Webpack configuration. You can see that test regex right there that is looking for coffee files, and it's going to use coffee loader to load that kind of file. And for plain JS files, it uses Babel loader, while for RE files, it's using the BS loader for ReasonML. So all different kinds of things. It's not that it's really recommended to plug a lot of file types into your project, but that's something you can do with Webpack. It's something new for him, except for the build time. So Tom is really upset because now he has to wait like 2 minutes for his big application to bundle. Like, he has all of those loaders, and since his project is big, it's like taking super long to build that. And for development, that is just a hassle. So he just forgets about this idea of using Webpack and just sticks with CDN. So he's in love with jQuery. He can just plug the script there, and CDNs beat Webpack. Like, there's no build time. JavaScript is an interpreted language, so he doesn't have to care about it. He just plugs everything he needs. And also, his dependencies are also cacheable with the CDNs. So it's much easier this way for him to develop and write everything from scratch. He doesn't have to take care about source maps too, because it's all in plain JavaScript. So this is not a problem for him. So let's figure out why he has to wait, why his build is taking so long. So first, let me tell you guys, I already introduced you to Webpack. I think probably most of you know what Webpack does. But there are also other guys on the bundlers side. Like, there is Parcel and Rollup. Parcel is a really great tool. I mean, I used it once for a hackathon, and the cool thing about it is that you don't need to install anything. Like, you just install Parcel, and if you import a TypeScript file, it's going to figure out what plugin it has to install for it to work. So it does everything automatically. So if you import a SAS file, it's going to install the SAS loader for you automatically. So it's really great if you just want to test something and get things done fast, but it's not the most performant tools. And on the other side, you also have Rollup. That is, you have to configure everything you need, but on the other side, it shrinks your bundle everything it can by using, by predicting yes modules, by resolving your yes modules. So for libraries and that kind of stuff, Rollup is the best solution, while Parcel is good to just get everything working. So there was also Browserify, but rest in peace, Browserify. It was really great back in the day, but nowadays it's not very much used anymore. So the idea with Browserify was to use node modules on the web. It was not a thing back in the day. So, but it brought a lot of cool dependencies to the web development world. So I think Browserify is not that big anymore because Webpack does everything it does, but it does more. So, well, that is on the bundler side. So what is this unbundled development? So those are the most prominent tools nowadays, Snowpack and Vite. So they use a different strategy for development, but they still hang on the bundler's power for production. So you can see the difference right here. I took this picture from the Snowpack docs. You have the bundle approach where you have to build your files, like you apply the loaders for TypeScript or SAS, And after that, you join all the files in development. So that's the thing that takes the longer time. And by having to join your files, you have to normalize them into the same language and then bring the pieces together. While in unbundled development, it takes advantage of modern browser ESBuild resolution to just build files separately. So it doesn't have to bundle. The browser does the importing for you. So it also allows you to have an atomic approach. Like you can cache your dependencies. I'm going to talk more about that in the next slides. So what bundle development brought us? What's good about bundle development? It's not a talk to say bad things about it. So file transformations is a good thing. I already talked about that. You can use CSS preprocessing. It was not a thing before bundlers were created. And you can also have all kinds of plugins, like you have a PWA plugin, a service worker plugin, and it's quite hard to configure them by hand, but with those plugins, it just gets easier. So you can also use web workers with plugins. It really helps a lot. And also using node modules on the web, that's what Browserify mission was. And hot modules replacement, you don't have to refresh your page every time you update a file. So that's something really great that bundle development brought us. And code splitting. Now you don't have to download all your pages at once or all of your modules at once. You can do that on demand. And much more things that bundle development brought that are going to be used for the unbundle approach too, but I mean, it just brought a lot of great stuff for the web. But there are also the drawbacks. So bundle development left us with big chunks to be reprocessed in dev. So if you have a big application, you have to join all of the files on the chunk you're loading. And after that, you have your development server ready, and just after that you can download everything. So besides building, you have to create your whole application before being able to see your actual page. And that's one problem. And also there's the source maps nightmare. So before the bundlers, you just had to plug your script files, and now you have to source map from your chunk to your development files. So sometimes you can have some inconsistencies with that. I'm not saying that unbundled development is going to solve that problem completely, but it just makes it easier for the people that write the tools for that. I had a lot of problems with Webpack debugging. Like I put a breakpoint in one place of the code and it just it's executing something else, and there are some magic variables for the bundler, so it's not very good of a user experience or developer experience in that case. So and the last point is that the more code means waiting longer in development. So if you have a big application, you just have to wait for all of those files to be joined, and that's not really a great thing to be that happens. So let's now talk about unbundled development and why it's a solution for those problems. So you have fast development builds. Since you just have to build the files, and the browser imports them for you, the JavaScript modules, and you just bundle for production. So you still leverage the power of the bundlers for production. You still have minified files and you still have your chunks, but you don't have to care about that while you're developing. You're developing. So every file is built individually and cached indefinitely. So since you have individual files, if you don't change them, they can be cached in your browser. So if you change one file during development, the browser it's just gonna download that one file for the hot module replacement or hot reload. You can say both. So I'm going to show some some screenshots from about that in the next slides. And there's also the parallel dependencies request. So if you have node modules, they can just be bundled before your development process. So with the bundle development, you would have to join all of your node modules with your normal modules, while in unbundled development, you can have just one chunk with all your node modules that is cached because it's not going to change. And the only files that can be changed are the ones in your project. So since unbundled development separates them into different requests, you have this power. So there are also some limitations, but the community is already working hard on mitigating those. So it's ES modules only, the unbundled development. So if you're trying to use something like a node browser that doesn't support ES modules, it's going to be hard to work around on that. And most of the tools just work with ES modules. With Snowpack, you can use CommonJS modules, but you lose the power of the unbundled development because the tool can't figure out what exactly you're updating. So ES modules are declarative, and it makes it so much easier to tree shake things and that kind of stuff, tree shake that code. So there's also the lack of plugins. So one great thing about Webpack is that it just works with everything you can imagine because it's a big ecosystem, and unbundled development is something new. So you can work with Svelte or Vue or React, but we still lack the tools for specific use cases. And there's also ESBuild readiness. I'm going to talk about ESBuild right now. It's a new thing that is really great. So ESBuild is actually a bundler, and it's an extremely fast JS bundler. And well, let's see how fast. This is from the ESBuild docs. You have Parcel there that I talked about before. That is a great solution, but not that fast. And this is probably the worst case scenario, but ESBuild is not reading in JavaScript, so that's why it's so fast. So Webpack and Parcel or Rollup, they're all written in JavaScript. That's why they are slow. But ESBuild, since it's written in Golang, it just gets the build time so much faster, and it does everything in parallel. So you have like 0.37 seconds. It's blazing fast. And through our luck, Vite and Snowpack actually use ESBuild both for development and for production build. So Snowpack can use ESBuild as an experimental feature for your production builds, and Vite uses it for your development builds. So let's talk about Vite and Snowpack. So there's the first example with Create React App. I'm going to show you guys. It's just your boilerplate, so you can expect that difference to be much more significant for big applications, but I'm going to play the video right now. So you can see that I kill the development server and I start a new one. It takes some time to start it. Let's see, maybe 10 seconds. It closes the window, but it's still starting. Let's see. Well, it started. Now I'm going to update and apply the hot module replacement. So you can see it takes something like 2 seconds to update. I update again. Yeah, something like 1 second. It's not a bad user experience, but as your app grows, it can take longer. So the main drawback here is that it takes long for you to start your development server because it has to bundle. So that extra time you saw there is your application just joining all your files. So let's see how Vite would do that. So there's the same situation, or React app with Vite. So I'm going to play that. I'm going to kill first the development server. and now I'm running and it's ready. Like it took something like half a second, and updates are instant. Like it doesn't take even a second. It's super fast because it's using ESBuild and it's not bundling anything. The browser is just requesting what it needs. That's why these new tools are so exciting. Like they improve the developer experience a lot. So let's see what we actually saw right now. What is happening? So this is how bundle development works in your development server. So it first joins all your modules and generates a bundle, a single chunk, a file. And then after that, the server is ready. That's why we saw that difference of a couple of seconds. In bigger applications, it could be something like a minute or two. And that's why the JavaScript development environment is so bloated. And while for unbundled development, the server is ready before you build anything. And as you request the files, it just builds in parallel everything you need. So the HTTP request is the trigger for what you need. And dynamic imports just, they don't care about other files. And that's why it's so fast. And well, now, do you guys remember when I talked about caching dependencies? So that's how it works. You can see Vue.js there, the dependency from your node modules. It just took 0 milliseconds to download that. So all of your files now appear on the your request. You don't see like a bundle.js on your network tab. You see all your files there. So when you're developing, you can see exactly your code source mapped, and it makes things a lot easier. And also, when you don't change one of your files of your request, they are also cached. So you have your node modules cached and also your project files cached. And Vite tells the browser that one file changed when it needs, only when it needs. So you can actually bundle the Unbundled. So those tools, they integrate with bundlers for production, like I said before. So Snowpack provides 2 plugins, one for Webpack and one for Rollup, while Vite takes a more opinionated approach and just does everything with Rollup. So I think Snowpack is more versatile with that. Snowpack also has the ESBuild bundling experimental feature, but the de facto solution, I think it would be using Webpack for production because it's so much more powerful. So you can try it yourself now. If you found that interesting, you can just visit vite.js.dev and also snowpack.dev. And that's it, guys. I also have a final slide here for